It was a rainy Tuesday evening when my life veered in a direction I never anticipated. Outside, the rain hammered down in relentless torrents, cascading over my tiny apartment window as if trying to drown out the storm raging inside me. I sat on the edge of my threadbare couch, staring blankly at the glowing screen of my laptop. The numbers in my bank account were a grim reminder of my dwindling resources, each digit a testament to the mounting weight of bills and overdue notices that had become my constant companions. At just 24, I had recently graduated from university, clutching a degree I once believed would unlock endless doors of opportunity. Yet, reality in the bustling city of Toronto was harsher than I had imagined. The city's vibrant energy, its bright lights, unending opportunities, and ambitious dreamers seemed to thrive on a rhythm I couldn't quite match. For someone like me, a fledgling freelance writer, it felt like I was adrift in an ocean of talent and competition, struggling to carve out my place. Though I loved writing, the work barely paid enough to scrape by. My days were a blur of pitching articles to magazines that rarely responded, crafting blog posts for small businesses, and ghostwriting for clients who seldom expressed gratitude. Each gig felt like a fleeting moment of respite before I was plunged back into the chaos of unpaid rent, an empty fridge, and the looming impossibility of affording even a bus ride to meet a potential client. The rain outside mirrored the storm brewing within me, a hypnotic rhythm that seemed to amplify my spiraling thoughts. How did I end up here? I wondered, tracing back the path that had led to this suffocating moment. I had graduated top of my class, brimming with dreams of becoming a published author. But somewhere along the way, those dreams had become tangled in the stark realities of survival. Desperation, I've learned, doesn't announce itself with grand gestures. It starts quietly, a soft whisper in the back of your mind that grows louder as the walls close in. It nudges you toward thoughts you typically dismiss, then pushes you toward paths you once judged or feared. That evening, as the rain drummed its relentless melody, I found myself standing at a crossroads, grappling with decisions that felt both impossible and inevitable. My thoughts drifted to Evelyn, a friend whose life seemed like a page out of a glossy magazine. Evelyn was effortlessly elegant, the kind of person who could command a room with a single glance. Her designer wardrobe, impeccable makeup, and an air of unshakable confidence contrasted starkly with my practical, sale-rack clothing and barely their self-assurance. Despite our differences, Evelyn had always been a constant in my life, a confidant and a source of unfiltered advice. One evening, after another grueling day of hustling to make ends meet, I reached out to her. We met at a cozy lounge downtown, a space that exuded sophistication and charm. Evelyn, as always, looked stunning in a sleek red dress that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Meanwhile, I fidgeted in my faded sweater and jeans, feeling every inch the struggling writer I was. Over drinks, I spilled my frustrations, recounting my mounting debts, the endless hustle of freelance life, and the crushing weight of feeling like a failure. Evelyn listened intently, her usual air of breezy confidence replaced by genuine concern. When I finally stopped to catch my breath, she leaned back, her manicured fingers tapping thoughtfully against her glass. "Why don't you try out calls?" she said, her tone casual, as if suggesting a new hobby. I blinked, unsure I had heard her correctly. Out calls. The words felt foreign, almost surreal. She leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Private appointments where clients pay for companionship. And no," she added quickly, seeing the look of shock on my face, "it doesn't have to be sexual. You set the boundaries. You decide what you're comfortable with." The idea hit me like a bolt of lightning, jolting me out of my despair. "You mean like an escort?" I asked, the word tasting strange on my tongue. Evelyn rolled her eyes with a chuckle. "Not necessarily. Think of it as offering companionship. Some people just want someone to talk to or a date for events. And you, my dear, are smart, charming, and gorgeous. You'd be perfect." I laughed nervously, shaking my head. "Evelyn, I could never. That's just not me." She shrugged, her gold earrings catching the light as she sipped her martini. "I'm not saying decide now. Just think about it. You're in control, you call the shots. That night, her words echoed in my mind long after I'd returned to my tiny apartment. The idea was outrageous, something I would have dismissed outright under any other circumstances. But desperation has a way of softening the edges of your convictions, making the unthinkable seem possible. The days that followed were a blur of escalating tension. Bills piled up like unscalable walls. Rejection emails flooded my inbox, and the landlord's patience was wearing thin. Each new setback seemed to amplify Evelyn's suggestion, the weight of her words pressing harder against my resolve. One particularly bleak Friday evening, I found myself staring at my laptop, utterly defeated. The thought of Evelyn's "just take a look" lingered, tempting me in ways I wasn't ready to admit. I opened a forum she'd mentioned, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. I wasn't committing. I told myself just exploring, nothing more. Little did I know, that tentative click would set me on a path I could never have imagined, one that would challenge everything I thought I knew about myself, my values, and the lengths I was willing to go to survive. Suit, exuding an air of effortless confidence. Our eyes met for a brief second, and I felt a strange mix of emotions: nervousness, curiosity, and a surprising sense of calm. "Hi," I said softly, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled warmly, offering a gentle nod. "Hi," he replied, his voice steady and reassuring. "You look lovely." The weight of the moment shifted as we walked into the hotel together. Inside, the ambience was sophisticated and inviting, with soft jazz playing in the background and the scent of fine cuisine wafting through the air. The bustling conversations and the low hum of laughter created a comforting atmosphere that helped settle my nerves. Our dinner began with polite conversation, but soon enough, the barriers began to break down. Deo spoke with ease, delving into his thoughts about art, culture, and the beauty of meaningful connections. His words were thoughtful, engaging, and reflective, making me forget for a moment where I was and why I had chosen to be there. As the evening progressed, I found myself sharing more than I ever thought I would. He listened intently, asking questions that revealed genuine interest, not superficial curiosity. It was refreshing, the kind of conversation I had been longing for, one that transcended small talk and delved into the depths of understanding. The hours flew by, and before I knew it, dessert had arrived. A delicate chocolate soufflé was placed in front of us, and as we continued to talk, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. There was no pressure, no expectations beyond the enjoyment of each other's company. At the end of the evening, Deo extended his hand, offering a soft smile. "Thank you for tonight." "It was a pleasure." I took his hand, feeling a mix of emotions: relief, gratitude, and a newfound confidence. "Thank you," I said quietly. It was more than I expected. Outside the hotel, the cool night air greeted us again. As we said our goodbyes, I felt a sense of calm that lingered. This night had opened a door to something unfamiliar, yet deeply enriching. In the days that followed, I reflected on that evening, a night where curiosity had led me into the unknown, where an unexpected connection had left me with more than just memories, but a sense of growth and possibility. Suiting him perfectly, the tailored suit seemed as though it was crafted solely for him, radiating effortless sophistication. However, what truly captivated me was his demeanor: calm, composed, and approachable, exuding a sense of grounded confidence. As I approached him, our eyes met, and a genuine smile spread across his face. It wasn't the kind of smile one wears for show. It was heartfelt, a smile that immediately softened the atmosphere, easing my swirling thoughts and dissipating the anxiety within me. "You must be Ada," he said, his voice deep and soothing, like the rhythm of a familiar melody. The sound of his words wrapped around me, and for a moment, I was lost for words. My throat tightened, and my mouth went dry. All I could manage was a hesitant nod. Finally, I found my voice, shaky but distinct. "Yes, you must be Deo." He reached out, his hand extended in greeting. I paused for a fleeting second, overwhelmed by the moment, before accepting it. His grip was firm yet gentle, grounding me in a way I hadn't anticipated. "It's a pleasure to meet you," he said, his tone warm and sincere. "Likewise," I replied, the corners of my lips lifting just slightly, as a faint smile emerged despite my initial uncertainty. Walking toward the grand entrance of the hotel, I felt an array of emotions. Fear still lingered, but it was intertwined with something new: curiosity. This experience was unlike anything I had encountered before. While uncertainty stirred within me, I couldn't deny the flicker of excitement that ignited in my chest. The restaurant we entered was like a vision from a dream, soft golden lights illuminating elegant table settings, while a hushed hum of conversation intertwined with the subtle strains of classical music. I had never been in a place so refined. It felt surreal, almost like stepping into the pages of a glossy magazine or a scene from a film. The waitstaff moved with grace and precision, each gesture polished and deliberate. The scent of rich, sumptuous cuisine filled the air, enhancing the otherworldly atmosphere. Deo led me to a table near a large window that offered a panoramic view of the city's sparkling skyline. The view was stunning, but it was his meticulous attention to detail that truly struck me. He pulled out my chair effortlessly, his movements smooth and intentional, ensuring my comfort before seating himself with the same ease. There was no rush, no sign of impatience, just a quiet confidence that made me feel, for the first time in a long while, as though I truly belonged in that space. Without a word, he summoned the sommelier, who appeared swiftly with a bottle of wine so exquisite I could barely pronounce its name. Deo exchanged a few quiet words, and soon, 2 glasses of deep ruby red wine were placed before us. As I lifted the glass, I realized my hands were steady, no longer trembling. Our conversation began with ease, flowing effortlessly as if we had known each other for much longer than a few moments. Deo's voice was steady, calm, and enveloped in warmth, drawing me in gently. His questions delved beneath the surface, inviting vulnerability and genuine connection. "So, Ada," he began, his dark eyes fixated on mine. "Tell me about yourself. What are your dreams? What keeps you awake at night?" For a moment, I hesitated, unsure of how much to share, but his presence was disarmingly open, his expression unassuming and encouraging. Slowly, I began to open up. I shared my background, my passion for writing, and the struggles of trying to establish a foothold in the city's fast-paced environment. I confessed how overwhelming it felt to step into this unfamiliar world, a confession I had never intended to vocalize aloud. To my surprise, Deo didn't judge. He didn't dismiss my fears or scoff at my doubts. He listened intently, his thoughtful nods grounding me further as I spoke. "It takes courage to step outside your comfort zone," he said after a pause. "Most people remain stagnant, too afraid to venture into the unknown. But you are brave." His words resonated deeply. Brave. It was a word I rarely associated with myself, but hearing it from him imbued me with a newfound strength. As the courses arrived, each more meticulously prepared and beautifully plated than the last, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Deo spoke about his travels, his work, and his passion for literature, sparking an animated exchange about our favorite authors. I was taken aback by how down-to-earth he remained, despite his refined exterior. His laughter was genuine, bursting forth with ease and breaking through the barriers I had constructed around myself. Hours slipped away unnoticed. For the duration of our meal, the world outside felt distant and inconsequential. There were no awkward silences, no uncomfortable moments, just 2 individuals sharing a meaningful evening, stories exchanged, connections forged, and joy shared in each other's presence. As dessert, a delicate chocolate mousse that looked almost too exquisite to eat arrived. I realized something unexpected. I wasn't merely surviving this evening. I was savoring every moment. Deo wasn't the intimidating, mysterious figure I had initially envisioned when I first came across his profile. Instead, he was kind, intelligent, and, above all, respectful. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I allowed myself to truly relax. Whatever the future held, I knew this moment would stay with me. It was a night etched into my memory, one I wouldn't easily forget. After dinner, Deo suggested we take a walk. I hesitated for a brief moment, glancing at my watch. Yet, something about the evening, the warmth of our conversation, the way he carried himself prompted me to agree. By the time we stepped outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the city shimmering in a magical glow. Puddles reflected the soft, golden hues of streetlights, and the cool, damp air was filled with the gentle sounds of the city winding down for the night. We strolled down the quiet street, heading toward a nearby park. It was one of those hidden green spaces tucked away from the usual hustle and noise, a peaceful oasis in the very heart of the city. The soft rustling of leaves and the occasional chirping of crickets created a soothing symphony as we walked deeper into the park. Our conversation flowed effortlessly at first, weaving seamlessly from dinner into new, intriguing topics. We touched on politics, cautiously sharing our views and finding surprising moments of agreement. We laughed as we delved into our shared passion for mystery novels, debating which authors truly deserved their legendary reputations. Deo spoke with such passion and insight that it was impossible not to be captivated. His words painted vivid, almost cinematic images of the ideas he cared deeply about. As we continued walking, the noise of the city gradually faded into the background, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves and the distant sounds of crickets. The path was lined with towering trees, their branches forming a natural canopy above us, creating an intimate, almost surreal atmosphere. When we reached a quiet corner where a lone bench rested beneath a street lamp, Deo slowed to a stop. He turned to face me, his expression thoughtful, his hands casually tucked into his pockets. For a moment, he seemed to study me, an unspoken depth in his gaze, as though seeing something hidden just beneath the surface that I couldn't quite grasp myself. "You remind me of someone I used to know," he said, his voice quieter now, almost introspective. "She had the same spark, the same drive, the kind of determination you don't often encounter. I see so much potential in you." Ada. I blinked, caught completely off guard. Of all the things I had anticipated hearing that evening, this wasn't one of them. His words lingered in the air, heavy with sincerity. My initial instinct was to brush them off, to downplay my own worth as I had always done. But the sincerity in his voice left no room for doubt. He truly meant it. I managed a small, genuine smile, though I felt my cheeks flush with an unexpected warmth. "Thank you," I murmured softly. "That means a lot." He reached into the pocket of his jacket and pulled out a sleek, metallic business card. The silver lettering gleamed softly under the warm glow of the street lamp, its elegance contrasting the quiet, intimate moment we shared. "I run a small publishing company," he said, holding the card out to me. "Send me some of your writing. I'd love to see what you can do." For a moment, I simply stared at the card, the weight of his words slowly settling into my mind. This wasn't just a casual offer or a fleeting gesture. He was offering me a chance, a rare opportunity that felt almost too good to be true. I will," I stammered, carefully taking the card as though it might vanish into thin air if I wasn't gentle enough. "Thank you. Really. Thank you." Deo smiled again, a smile that exuded warmth and quiet confidence, a kind of encouragement that wrapped around me like a gentle embrace. "You don't have to thank me," he said softly. "Just promise me one thing. Don't sell yourself short. You've got something special. Ada, don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you otherwise." As we continued our walk, a whirlwind of emotions swirled within me: gratitude, disbelief, and a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The night had shifted in ways I couldn't predict. Every step we took felt lighter, filled with a newfound energy. I glanced down at the business card once more, realizing that this wasn't just about making ends meet anymore. It was about discovering a path I hadn't dared to envision. The next morning, I awoke with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. After much thought, I decided to take Deo up on his offer. I drafted an email, attaching a few of my best writing samples. My hands trembled slightly as I hovered over the send button, half expecting nothing more than silence or polite rejection. To my amazement, His reply arrived within hours. His message was warm, encouraging, and professional. He praised my work, highlighting its potential, and extended an offer for a freelance contract to collaborate on some of his upcoming projects. I sat there, staring at the screen, rereading his email over and over again, unable to comprehend how swiftly my life was changing. That single email marked the beginning of a journey I never could have foreseen. What started as a desperate attempt to survive had become a stepping stone toward something far greater. Looking back now, that first encounter wasn't just a leap into the unknown. It was a pivotal moment that redefined my life. It wasn't about the dinner, the walk, or even the contract itself. It was about unearthing something profound within myself: courage, resilience, and the ability to embrace the unexpected. Deo didn't simply become a client or an acquaintance. He became a mentor. Over the following months, he guided me through the complexities of the publishing world, offering invaluable advice and constructive criticism. He challenged me to believe in my abilities, to push beyond my fears, and to take risks I had always avoided. Through his mentorship, I found my footing in a career I had only dreamed of. Gradually, I built a portfolio, attracted new clients, and started earning enough to free myself from the financial struggles that once consumed me entirely. As for the world of outcalls, it became a chapter in my life that I eventually left behind. It wasn't a decision made lightly, but one that unfolded naturally as I grew more confident and secure in my chosen path. Yet, I'll always reflect on that first meeting with deep gratitude. It taught me an invaluable lesson that still resonates. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes the paths we fear the most lead to opportunities we never imagined. Deo's words echoed in my mind. Every meeting has a purpose, even if we don't see it immediately. He was right. That rainy evening, that chance connection, it wasn't just about a casual introduction. It was the spark that reignited my hope, my ambition, and my faith in myself. Life, as I've come to learn, is filled with surprises, and sometimes, those surprises come from the most unexpected places, transforming our lives in ways we never thought possible. Thank you for taking the time to watch our videos. If you find the content useful and interesting, don't forget to like, share, and especially subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. Our channel will always update attractive, inspiring, and useful content for you. Click the bell icon to receive notifications as soon as there are new videos. Your support is the biggest motivation for us to continue to develop. Thank you and see you in the next videos.